But, this tournament has just posted the best ratings television-wise so far since 1993. And if you want to make a comparison to, say, like the NBA, they are losing 75% of its audience since the 90s. So people like basketball. They may just not like the NBA, but they sure do like the NCAA tournament with an average view of 9.4 million viewers. So everybody's watching it. There's going to be a massive amount of people in San Antonio. And, it's nice that the Florida Gators have a chance to do something special over there.
Yes, they do. There's no question about that. Switching gears briefly.
Okay.
JC, did you see a couple of weeks ago, or maybe like a week or two ago, Andrew Luck now is like the director of football ops. I don't know what his exact title is out at Stanford. He runs the football program now.
Okay.
He fired their coach like a week and a half ago. Did you see who he hired?
I did not, because Stanford football is just not on my radar screen right now, QB.
Well, I mean, you do have Twitter, JC. I think you're on there.
Yeah.
But he hired. This is a 1-year like fill-in coach. I mean, think about it. I don't even know if they've had spring practice, but I mean, it's kind of a weird time to fire your coach, right?
Okay.
Frank Reich is going to take over the Stanford Cardinal for a year.
Oh my. Okay. Well, not sure what that's all
about.
Does
that excite you?
No, not at all. Maybe if I was a quarterback prospect that nobody liked, and I wanted to, and I got accepted to Stanford, and I wanted to learn how to play the position, maybe I'd be happy to go and let him teach me. But I don't really know what that's about.
For a year? He's only there for a year, I think.
Well, I mean, that's what they say today. You never know. But certainly that does not move the needle for me. And Stanford football does not move the needle. And somehow they find themselves in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So none of that makes sense. The whole situation there doesn't make sense. And to me, it's just it's just kind of an experiment. That's all it is.
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. A text on the Titanamore text line from Paul in the Panhandle says, "Greetings from the Panhandle. We got to get offensive rebounds and make our free throws."
Yeah, I mean, they were very good with the free throws the other day. And certainly, the jitters will come, the arena, the sightings, and all of this stuff. But they've been there, and they will have been there for an entire week, basically, before they tip off. So I would think they would get used to everything. QB.
Well, I think they're getting there today.
Okay, they're getting there today. But the Houston Cougars are interesting to me here, QB, because I know everybody's all over Duke. Duke's the favorite to win it all. Duke this, Duke that, Duke. But the Houston Cougars are now making their 7th trip to the Final Four, QB. They have not won it yet. There are only 4 schools with 4 or more Final Four trips and no titles. Can you name one of those 4? And I'll give you a clue. One of them
Houston.
Houston, yes. But the other 4, there's only 4 other schools that have gone 4 or more times and not won it. And one of my clues for you will be an SEC. One of them is an SEC school.
Well, this is only the 2nd time they've been there.
Yeah.
So the SEC school, like a real SEC school, or like one of those that we've added?
So Oklahoma is one of them, but that's not the one I'm talking about. They've been 5 times and never won it. But there's a traditional SEC school that's been 4 or more times and has never won it.
LSU.
You got it. Very good, QB. You are awake and rolling at 7:06 Central Time. That is very impressive.
I think one year they took a 11 seed or something like that. Yeah. They just shocked everybody and went to the Final Four somewhere around there.
You are right. The other 2 were Illinois and Kansas State. So But Houston is gone now. This will be their 7th trip. I think this game with Duke, I mean, I know Duke can throw the ball over Houston. I know they can go over the top of Houston, but something tells me we're still settling here for an epic game in the nightcap on Saturday. I just don't think it's going to be that easy for Duke.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal Final Four. It's only the 2nd time in the history of the tournament that all number 1 seeds make it. And I just think, we'll break it down more with Matt McCall and get his thoughts. But I just think, this is one of those deals where, JC, when you get the so-called upsets or the 6 seeds or the 7 or 10 seeds that make the Final Four, realistically, they ain't going to win once they get there, right?
Right.
So, but it's anybody can win this one, so it should be a lot of fun. for sure. Mike says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, I am in Seattle for a few days and didn't know how much of an hour difference would make for me just after 5 Yeah, dude, you're struggling. Mike is struggling right now. I can promise you that. Or if you're not struggling today, you will be in about 4 days.
When he comes home? Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I do love Central Time. Central Time is my favorite time. Mountain's not bad either. Eastern and Pacific are a little too extreme on both ends. But I do love Central Time, man. Nothing starts too early, nothing ends too late. QB, we're talking about basketball, and that's the big focus. But I got to bring up this issue with the baseball team. Do you realize that Florida, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State all entered the season ranked 7th, 1st, and 18th, respectively? I kind of did that out of order a little bit. And each team is 1-8 in the SEC. Each team, 8 weeks later. So the Aggies were ranked number 1. They were a finalist last year. They are 1-8. The Bulldogs, since they won the championship a few years ago, have been irrelevant. And Florida's 1-8. And Arkansas right now is just running away with the. It seems like there's a lot of good teams in this league, but Arkansas seems to be the team right now.
So, Jason, let me ask you,
and
out of those 3 teams,
yeah,
those 3 teams, Florida, State, and the Ags.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Aggies have a new coach. Their coach left and went to Texas.
He did.
Do you think any, all, or just a couple make postseason play, or none?
I'm going to just say basically, I don't think any of them will. I hope Florida can turn it around. I'm just not that confident right now. I know teams are capable of turning things around. Look at what Arkansas did in the basketball. Okay, I get it. But baseball, this league is so damn tough, as well as the basketball league. But I'm just not buying into this pitching staff, QB. And frankly, I don't think they hit the ball very well either. I was very surprised, but the pitching is very suspect to me on this roster.
Yeah, it's the season definitely has not gone the way, and I think a lot of people may not, they probably will start following baseball and softball and spring sports a little bit more once basketball season ends. But good thing basketball is doing what they're doing, because it's kind of taking things away from baseball.
And I'm not so sure that guy at Mississippi State's going to last. I mean, I know he won the only College World Series championship, the only national championship that school won in anything. But since that championship, what was it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they have been absolutely horrible. They missed the postseason last year. I mean, it's undeniable that they have fallen off the side of the road. And I can't believe that at Mississippi State. If there's anything good at that school, it's supposedly their baseball program, and it is just tragic right now. I don't think he will make it through the rest of this year. That shocks me. I think Kevin O'Sullivan is fine. I don't think there's any problem there. But I think the team's pitching which is his area, is quite suspect. I looked at some of it, and it's just not getting the job done. So we'll hopefully turn it around. There's still time to turn it around, but I'm trying to be realistic about it.
Yeah, Wally Gator on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, surprising Sully hasn't been more active in the portal with pitching. These high school arms usually take a while to develop. They either take a while or they get injured for some reason. Let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. In 2007, the 69th NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, I was at this event with the kids.
Well,
Mighty Gators defeat Ohio State 84-75. Gators go back-to-back.
Yeah.
Corey Brewer was your most outstanding player. That was in the Georgia Dome. It was the Georgia Dome back then, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it tore it down.
Tore it down and put some more parking for the glorious Mercedes-Benz building, and we have had a lot of memories in that building ever since it was built. So, the Georgia Dome was wonderful. Florida Gator football program, and Alabama basically dominated the games in that building, and there were some real memorable games. There's no doubt about it. QB, you want to do the golf, the Valero Texas Open?
Yeah, we're going to do that here in just 1 second. I wanted to pull up this comment if I can find the dang thing, but it won't come up. All right, so let's do our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's number one choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go check them out at peachlanddental.com. Oh, this is what I wanted to bring up before we get to the picks. Were you surprised that Buzz Williams went to Maryland?
I was and I wasn't. I was because financially speaking, there's nobody that can well, maybe Texas, but Texas and Texas A&M financially are the most profitable or stable, I should say, or well-endowed programs on earth. So it can't be about money. What is funny and also surprising to me is that you had a guy named Willard who was basically saying Maryland's cheap and can't pay for anything, and basically decided he would go to Villanova because at Villanova you only have to worry about basketball. That school doesn't have football to worry about. NIL can do a lot better there. But at Maryland, I am surprised. It's a 6-year deal, so there's a lot of security. Maybe he's thinking the SEC is too hard. Maybe it's the Big Ten is a place where I think I can thrive. He coached in the Midwest before at Marquette. I don't know though. I don't know why you would leave a place like Texas A&M. My God, but he's kind of he's been to a few different jobs. So yeah, it did kind of surprise me. And Maryland, like I said, the guy leaving Maryland couldn't stand the place. He said they were cheap and didn't spend money. So I don't know.
Well, Buzz never stays anywhere more than like 4 or 5 years. He's at Virginia Tech, Marquette, now A&M, and there was a couple other stops. I think he's a good basketball coach, but there's no way I'd leave A&M. And then maybe he don't want to deal with the SEC right now. He'd rather go to the Big Ten.
I think a lot of that could be. A lot of that could very well be. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. Guys, there's a rumor out there that Todd Golden is calling Billy Donovan to get advice on preparing for the Final Four. Have you heard anything about it? Yeah, I mean, that's what coaches do. They call kind of get their I mean, look, Todd's got his plan. They know when they're going to practice. They know when they're going to play. It's just one of those deals where that's just what coaches do. They call one another when things like this happen. Rich says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Jake Mangum's hitting .636 after a 3-for-4 day with 2 ribbies and another stolen base. He's 3 for 3. Yeah, Jake got called up and playing great for the Rays now.
I'm glad we brought up Mississippi State baseball, man, because that kid was awesome.
Well, I talked about it yesterday because I talked to his parents. Jake got called up on his dad's from McGee, Mississippi. They live in Pearl now. Okay. He went to Jackson Prep. Obviously went to Mississippi State, was the hit king and the SEC all-time hit leader. But he's been in the in the minors for like 6 or 7 years. He got called up, I think it was on a Sunday night, JC, and I think he was in Durham. Yeah. He had to do like a 3-hour Uber to catch a plane and then fly to Tampa, and then his mom and dad and all his sisters, they drove from Mississippi to Tampa to see him. He went over his first game, and then he's heated up here, and just a great kid, and hopefully he'll stick there, but doing very, very well.
And how about those Rays? 4-1, playing at Steinbrenner Field, balls flying out of there, just lapping the Pirates right now. Tampa Bay this is an organization that is one of the most amazing performance organizations on earth, given what they have and the ownership group that they play for and the turnover that they have year in and year out. Their scouting or their talent development or whatever you want to call it department, I think is unmatched in Major League Baseball. There's no one better. And yet every year they're competing for something. And this is a program, a franchise that draws nobody. It's incredible to me. It's just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's get back to our Peachland Dental picks. This is the Texas Valero Open, I believe.
Yeah.
Who you got, JC?
Well, they're saying that there's a couple of really big names here. They're saying Tommy Fleetwood is your favorite, although that guy's never won on tour in this continent. So I don't think I'm going to pick him. I am going to pick, however, a North American from Canada named Corey Connors, who I think is going to do very well on this particular course because of how good he is, I think, off the tee and so forth. I'm taking Corey Connors.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the young stud. I don't know if Ludwig's won yet or not. I'm sure I can't remember, but he's going to be in. I'll take Ludwig Oberg.
He has won once. and it was out west. Okay, Ludwig's a good pick, obviously, and you know I like this tournament because next week, you know, I guess it's Augusta, is it not? Am I right? So it is
Yep.
the next week. So who's going to be tuning up for Augusta that plays very well at Augusta and probably wants to do well here? And I'm going to go with another foreign player. This one is a former winner at Augusta and hasn't done very, very well this season yet, but I think he's about to turn it on, and that's Hideki Matsuyama. And I like him in this deal, and I love him next week. So,
yeah, Hideki. Give me, I'm going to go with Akshay Bhatia.
Oh, you like the skinny guy, the lefty.
He is very skinny.
He is so skinny.
He might be the skinniest human. He weighs 130 pounds. He's 6'2", 130 pounds. And just mashes the golf ball.
Smashes it 300 yards. I was very encouraged to see Gary Woodland the way he played last week. I think he continues this week. I'm taking Gary Woodland.
Yeah, good pick. The old Kansas Jayhawk basketball player.
I think he's figured out his irons, his middle irons, and watch out next week too, because I think he's played well at Augusta in the past. I think he'll do well today too, this week.
All right, this guy's boring as hell, but
yeah,
he just hits the ball, makes putt. Patrick Cantley.
Yeah, he is one of the most boring golfers you'll ever watch, but he's pretty good. He's played well in the Ryder Cup. I like that pick. I want to go on a flyer here. This guy probably has zero chance to win, but I love the way he performed at the TPC coming off an injury. And who knows? You know, this is one of those tournaments where nobody you think could just come out of nowhere. And that's Bud Cauley, the old Alabama golfer. I'm going to take little Bud to try to get a top 10 finish. And who knows, maybe win this.
And I'm going to try one more time with my man, Jake Knapp. And see if he can do worth a darn.
Yeah, great hitter, ball striker, all that. Yeah, he's everything.
So to recap the picks for the Texas Valero Open on the Peachland Dental contest, JC has Corey Connors, Hideki Matsuyama, Gary Woodland, and Bud Cauley.
Yeah.
I have Ludwig Oberg, Akshay Bhatia, however you pronounce his name, Patrick Cantley, and Jake Knapp.
QB, I'm showing the world right now the fog that has rolled into St. Augustine there through my living room here and here at the condo. And it's going to be really hot in Florida this weekend. Summer is coming. So the Masters is next week.
Hot is better than cold.
That's right. Masters next week. Saturday, it's Gator basketball. Fantastic against Auburn. And Houston and Duke, I know exactly where I'm going to be for that game on Saturday night, and I am really excited to watch it and get a little action down on those two games. I'd love to see Florida and Houston play. I can't bet against Duke, but I would love to see the Gators and Duke go after it, or Houston. But I think it's going to be Duke. I'm probably going with what everyone else is going with because that's the way this tournament has gone, and that's the favorites. And right now, the two favorites are Florida and Duke. So there you have it.
Yeah. Conyer Ron would like you to. He's asking you, JC, on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. What's your favorite Val Kilmer film? I guess he passed away last night.
Yeah, Val Kilmer was great. I'm not a big movie guy, QB, as you know, and you and I are very similar in that way. But I have seen some, and he was good in those Tom Cruise movies with the airplanes and the jets, whatever they were called, Top Guns or something. I liked him there. But I'll tell you the movie that he probably didn't get a lot of attention for, but was really good in, was a shoot-'em-up movie called Heat. And so I liked that one. Heat was good. But basically what I remember about Val Kilmer was being the Iceman in the F-14 there with Tom Cruise, and then obviously in the F-18 Hornet in his latest movie. And he was a really cool dude. I liked him a lot. But check out that movie Heat. Great question. Appreciate that. I'm not a movie buff, but for some reason I do remember him shooting up all the bad guys in Heat. So there you go.
Text on the Technomar text line from Jimmy. Jimmy says, JC, will you be attending the Orange and Blue game?
There is a better chance of me getting a Toro lawnmower and pushing and mowing Payne's Prairie than going to that. But I will be very happy for all of those fans that want to go and watch that. The only reason I would go would be to see DJ Lagway. And since he's not playing, I would much rather probably mow Payne's Prairie than spend that afternoon in the sun watching a practice. So me, QB, I don't do practice. We talk about practice. So until they want to make these games competitive, like let's say, what would it be like if UCF brought their team up to Gainesville or USF or say, I don't know, call anybody, Clemson, for God's sake, would come and they would have a scrimmage. Then I would be interested, but I have zero interest in some orchestrated practice that they want to sell something to me for. I'm not interested.
Yeah, the NCAA shot down Colorado and Syracuse doing that, so I don't think.
Well, the NCAA is full of it. I agree.
Well, there's a lot of logistics that go into that, JC. Now, if you had Orlando, like UCF, where they could bus up the day, play the game, and bus back, because you can't. The amount it costs to travel 100-something people is just because they're not getting. I mean, who's going to pay for the travel?
Right. There's no revenue there. I totally understand. I get it.
You know, when you travel on an away game, the opposing team is paying for you to come and play.
Well,
but that's not going to happen.
To get me to watch something, you have to offer something that is of entertainment value or gives me a reason to get excited to actually spend my time to watch you do something. And they aren't doing that for the orange and blue game for me. And I don't blame anybody for wanting to go. I think it's great if that's what you choose to do on that weekend. But I've got about 10,000 things other I could do that would interest me more. And I have an announcement that's very exciting for all us X users, is that I will be changing my X handle by the weekend and have a much more snazzy and vibrating and riveting X handle by next week. I know that's been a big bone of contention for many, so I appreciate.
Well, JC, what is your snazzy name going to be?
I'm not going to. It's going to be a surprise. I'll let you know on Monday.
All right, before we let you go,
sure, you'll lose sleep thinking about that this weekend, QB.
Yeah. JC, did you see where I meant to bring this up the other day, and Dan brings it up on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing? Free concessions at Coastal Carolina football games this year.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Think about that.
Free.
You don't pay.
Oh, free.
You go up there and you say, hey, I want three hot dogs, 3 beers, and a bag of popcorn.
Let's go.
Don't cost you a damn
Somebody's fitting the bill for that. God bless them. Good for Conway, South Carolina, and whoever's doing that. I will also say, QB, that I just lost my train of thought. But that's awesome. Good for those folks at Coastal Carolina. Free concessions. It's a groundbreaking thing right there. I think that's awesome. I think that's.
Brandon's got a good handle for you on X.
Oh dear.
On Facebook Live. He says, "My tongue tie corn dog."
Yeah. Well, I do love that place. I never thought I loved sushi so much. I really never did, especially after I drank the wasabi bar.
By the way,
those wasabi balls.
By the way, what
guacamole? Go ahead.
What is your Twitter handle right now?
It's some ridiculous thing that they just gave me when I got reinstated from probation. It's Cornell Junior 51349. Makes no sense, but it's just what they assigned. I'm reassigning it next week to a new Twitter handle. I'm very excited about that.
Why are you waiting till next week?
Because I'm busy today. Because we're traveling tomorrow, QB, and I got things to do today and a big trip to Mississippi. Okay,
so you're going to be on an airplane. So while you're sitting in the airport with an 8-hour delay, you can go there and change your Twitter handle.
I will. But for purposes of this fine program, I'm going to wait until next week and make everybody.
All right. Well, have a safe trip, JC. We're going to go talk to somebody that knows real basketball, not us. All right. Have a good weekend. That's JC. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. We come back. We'll be joined by Matt McCall. Get your basketball questions ready, folks. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health
very windy
Orthopedics and
looks like it
Sports
might rain
Medicine
here today.
Institute, JF Hayden
Tomorrow
Craft
I'll
Liqueurs,
drive over to
Florida
the
Cracker
casino
Kitchen,
about-
Los
I'll get
Landeros
there about 2:30,
Tequila.
2
Okay.
o'clock.
Gridiron
you're not-
sponsors
you're
are
not
Baker
playing,
Sporting
obviously.
Goods,
You're not gonna
Comfort
play.
Tent,
I may go get some
Electronics
balls.
World,
I mean-
Florida
Yeah, okay.
Victorious,
What time
Gallo
are you
Car
playing?
Wash, Miapa
We're
Latin
teeing off at
Cafe,
11:30,
Peachland Dental,
and
Quality
then we'll be
Plumbing,
done.
Ruse Ogre
We
State Farm,
land at
Silverback
8:30, drive
Concrete,
up,
84 Lumber,
tee off at
Big Meals
11:30, then
Cheesesteak,
go check
Celebrate
it.
Primary
I
Care,
guess we got a
Dowling
live
Sign,
mic going. I guess
Gator
right now
Bait
before
Media,
Texas.
Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of
Matt,
you
can you
living
hear
in
me, Matt?
pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime,
What's up,
and
Matt? How you
no
doing, buddy?
surgery.
What's
Stop
up, Shane?
putting
How
it
you doing,
off.
man?
Call now and schedule your free
All right,
consultation.
I'm running
Call
around a little
QC
bit this
Kinetics
morning
now
trying
in
to get out of
Gainesville,
town, so,
Ocala, and the Villages.
I gotta be, on my headphones.
352-400-4550.
Yeah, you're good. I'm on the headphones and
352-400-4550.
myself, so we're gonna come out of break here and get right to it. So you're heading down to San Antonio?
Yeah, I leave this afternoon.
Naysayers.
Yep.
All right.
Setbacks.
You're a busy man. You do a lot of media
Yeah.
stuff now, huh?
It's crazy.
Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Unleash the Inferno.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua, never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Back to the Titan Number hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by Matt McCall, former Gator coach under Billy Donovan, head coach at UMass and UT Chattanooga, and now does millions of podcasts and radio shows, mainly with XM Sirius. What's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy?
Shane, how we doing, brother? It's an exciting time. Man, to have the Final Four, we get 4 1 seeds. Everyone keeps calling it chalk. I'm still not sure how they came up with that term, but man, it's going to be a lot of fun there in San Antonio, and I'm actually headed out there this afternoon.
Yeah, let's start. As you said, we got 4 number ones. I think it's the second time in the history of the tournament. Let me ask you this: out of the 4 coaches, now we got some really good. We got a couple young guys and we got some old guys. None of them have won a national title. Who, in your opinion, is the best X and O coach?
Oh, Shane, that's a good one. I mean, I always lean towards Bruce Pearl. You know, even going back to when he was at Tennessee and I was a GA and a director of ops at Florida, we just never could. We could win back-to-back national championships, but we just couldn't beat the Tennessee Vols for whatever reason. I don't understand. I think we got them 1 out of 4 times in 2006 and 2007. And he's still doing it, man. It's such a high level. When I was at UT Chat, we actually scrimmaged him right when he got to Auburn, and you know what he runs on offense. I think the freedom he gives his guys on offense too goes a little underlooked. He lets those guys play, but at times he'll slow it down and he'll run an action. And I think for Auburn to win this whole thing, like that's what has to happen. You know, Baker Mazara can't come down across half court and crank a 3 without anybody else in the possession touching it. You know, Tahad Pettiford, same thing. We've seen those guys take questionable shots, but then Bruce Pearl will slow it down and he moves the floor and he'll get a wide open 3 or get a layup. So just in terms of X's and O's, I got to give the nod to Coach Pearl at Auburn.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Gators briefly. What Todd Golden's done in year 3 has been amazing, putting this team together. Just talk about, you know, with the new transfer portal, this Gator team, when you look at the other teams, I mean, Duke always has one of the top recruiting classes in America. But Florida has really no McDonald's All-Americans, got guys from Iona, FAU, Belmont, Washington State. Just talk about how he's constructed this team that has a chance to win a national title.
Yeah, Shane, it's really impressive. And I said this yesterday on Sirius XM, Channel 84. I look at the entire Final Four, and everyone talks about the transfer portal and how negative it is. And these kids are leaving, and they're going to a school, and they're only going there for 8 months, and then they're on to the next school, and then they're on to the next one. And I think all four of these teams, maybe outside of Elijah Martin, who his coach left. His coach left FAU. Dusty May left FAU, goes to Michigan. So he's sitting there, and he had to leave. But these other guys, outside of maybe Chinleyu, they've been there. They've been established. Yes, Walter Clayton's a transfer from Iona, but this is his second year within the program. So, and Will Richard, the same thing. So I just think that the job this Florida staff did constructing this roster. Shane, last year, this team was bad on defense. They were not good. They were great on offense, but they were not good on defense. So the second the clock.
What happened? No, I got shut off.
Sorry, man. Am I there? You got me?
Oh, we got you.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know what happened. When you bring in a guy like Elijah Martin that can guard multiple positions, when you bring in a big physical front court player like Chinleyu, who can guard ball screens, protect the rim, rebound, at a high rate. Look, this is what coaching is. Like people talk all the time. Well, John Shire, he's just a great recruiter. No, recruiting's a part of coaching. I mean, Shane, you know that. If you don't have good players, I don't care all the great ball plays that Steve Spurrier has in his back pocket. If you don't have good players to execute them, you're not going to win. But that's exactly what this Florida staff did. They went out and they got the guys that they needed to get in order to make the improvements on the defensive end of the floor. Couple that with a great offense. Now they're in the Final Four.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, when you look at the Gators, obviously they beat Auburn in Auburn this year. Not that even matters. But how do you like them matching up? And I don't care what anybody says. Janai Broome ain't going to be 100%. I just don't see that happening. How do you like the Gators matching up against Auburn this week?
I've never seen a guy go down with an ankle injury and an elbow injury on the same exact possession. I've never seen that. Everyone wants to keep talking about the elbow. Well, go back and look at the clip and watch the ankle buckle as well. I'm with you, Shane. I think it does say something that he went back into the game. If he didn't go back into that game, if I was an Auburn fan, I would be really concerned. But the fact that he actually went back out there and tried to play and tried to compete, I think bodes well for the Tigers. Look, go back to that game. Florida scored 90 points. Auburn got to 82. Go back to that game. Florida didn't have Elijah Martin. So you think about that. And that's another thing, Shane, I don't think gets talked about enough is Florida's bench and the willingness of these guys to come off the bench. A guy like Aberdeen, who when Walter Clayton went down, he steps up. When Elijah Martin goes down, he steps up. He's not complaining about not starting. He doesn't have his agent telling him he needs more NIL and he should go in a portal because he's not starting. The coaching staff screwing him. That's not what's happening. Thomas Houck, the same thing. I mean, Houck, you can make a case versus Texas Tech. He won them the game. I know Walter Clayton made big shots coming down the stretch, but Houck was absolutely outstanding. And some of the threes that he hit really kept Florida in that game. So it'll be interesting. Bruce Pearl's going to make some adjustments. Florida to be able to score 90 points. I think if you're an Auburn fan, again, it's coming down to shot selection. They have to get and generate good shots because Florida's going to defend. They're going to be able to defend at a high level. And, if Pettiford or Baker Mazzara just comes down and they want to play one-on-one ball, Florida's too big and too athletic. They'll be in the gaps. They'll be stunting. Their help side defense is there. So that floor's got to move. So I think that's something to pay attention to. Auburn's assist numbers. What are they running on offense to move the floor? But this is the matchup of the Final Four, Shane. This is it to me. Obviously, I think Duke's going to take care of business. I think they're too big, too athletic. I know how good Houston is on the defensive end of the floor. I just think Duke's too good. And I think Duke's going to make it to the national championship game. And then we'd have a heck of a national championship game. Obviously, we're all pulling for Florida, but you get one of these two teams to line up against Duke. But this is the game because I think Duke, I don't want to say walks to the national championship game, but I think they take care of business.
Silverback concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. A few more minutes with Matt McCall from XM Sirius Radio. So you think Duke rolls the Cougars, huh?
Yeah, well, Shane, go back and watch the Purdue game and Braden Smith and what he was able to do and how he picked that defense apart. The guy had 15 assists in the game. Well, part of the reason he was able to do that is because of his size. When you can see over those guards, when they're committing to the ball and they're trapping pick and rolls and they're doing that, and you can see over those guys, you make the right play. It's going to be one of those games where, Duke's going to benefit from Houston's defense being aggressive. We used to do this all the time when we play against Frank Martin and those South Carolina teams where he would try to trap pick and rolls. It's like, hey, man, keep the ball in the alley, keep it in the middle of the floor, set a middle ball screen, and now you got to go hoop. Well, go to the Tennessee game. Tennessee's not pick and roll oriented, and Zakai Ziegler's smaller, and they struggled. They had 15 points in the first half. They had 5 points with 5 minutes to go in the first half. Duke's got too much firepower. They're too big. Tyrese Proctor's 6'6" at the point guard spot. I think he's going to be able to see over those traps. And who's he throwing it to coming out of those traps? Oh, just a guy by the name of Cooper Flagg who's going to be the #1 pick in the NBA draft.
Speaking of Cooper Flagg, we've got a text here on the Titan MR text line from George. He says, Matt, where do you rank Cooper Flagg as one of the best you've seen in college basketball?
Oh, man, we got into this the other day. I was doing a show with John Henson, the Carolina great. And this is hard for Carolina guys. And I made John Henson give me his all-time 5 best Duke players in the history of the program. He kept a spot open for Cooper Flagg and whether or not Cooper Flagg wins this national championship. He gave me 4 guys, and then he kept the spot open for Cooper, seeing if he can win this championship. Another Carolina guy I was doing a show with, Shane, Tyler Hansborough, he got mad at me because I said that I think Cooper Flagg will be a 9 or 10-time NBA All-Star. And he's like, how can you say that? I said, well, now you got to take your Carolina goggles off here for a second, big fella, because when you have the competitiveness that he has, and Shane, in today's day in college athletics, I don't care if it's football or basketball, you have all these agents, you have all these handlers, you have all these guys that are trying to get at these kids, not for the kids' benefit, but for their own benefit. And there would probably be 70% of the country when Cooper Flagg went down with that ankle injury, with a freshman in college who's going to be the #1 pick in the draft, all these dollars, all this money at stake, and say, hey, man, don't risk it. Don't go out there and get hurt and where you could hurt yourself and making millions and millions of dollars. Don't do it. And Cooper Flagg's a baller. Cooper Flagg's a competitor. There was no way he was missing that first-round game, and he went out there and competed. When you couple his competitiveness and his drive with his ability, it's one of the best freshmen we've seen in the country, by far, hands down, and I'll stand by what I said. I think the guy's a 9, 10-time NBA All-Star.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. All right, before we get you out of here, a couple of things. Your thoughts on the coaching changes in college basketball. Kevin Willard going to Villanova, Buzz leaving A&M to go to Maryland. Any of that surprise you?
I mean, no, because if you pull up Buzz Williams' Wikipedia page, I think it was Marquette 6 years, Virginia Tech 5 years, Texas A&M 6 years. He's just got this trend and this pattern. Maryland maybe 5 years. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. The guy never ends up staying at a school for past 6 years. He just has never done it. He's always kind of looking around. This seems to me like this was almost like a mutual breakup, kind of like Cal last year with Kentucky, where Texas A&M's kind of like, maybe it's time, Buzz, that we try something new. And he heads off to Maryland. The Kevin Willard situation was very bizarre and strange. You can't tell me that didn't have an impact in that Sweet 16 game against the Florida Gators. Derek Queen's there, and he's dodging all these questions about his future when the whole country knew he was going to Villanova. I mean, everybody knew it. And that's why I respected what Will Wade did. Will Wade was like, hey, man, yes, I've talked to NC State. Not going to lie about it. Been honest with my players about it. You'd rather see Kevin Willard kind of take that approach. Neither one surprises me. Texas A&M, Shane, and you've been there. You've been to College Station. I mean, that's a big time place. And they're going to get a great coach in. To leave there to go to Maryland, I don't know, man. It's a little head scratching, but it's not, because just never seems like Buzz Williams is going to ever end up staying in one spot. He'll get out there to College Park. He'll get on his Twitter and his Instagram and start posting motivational videos just like he did at Texas A&M. So, neither one surprising, but that's a big time job that's open down there in College Station, Texas.
Yeah. Do you think Billy Donovan coaches college basketball again?
Oh, here we go. That's everybody wants to ask me that question. I don't know, Shane. I really don't. I don't think you can never say never. I was with him about a month ago, Jeremy Foley, as well. We went up for coach's jersey retirement at Providence, 1987 Final Four. I'm really not sure what took so long for Providence to retire his jersey, but was with him there. And I know he's having fun. He's enjoying what he's doing. He seems like he's at peace with what he's doing. To be gone from it for as long as he has, he doesn't need my advice. If he ever asked me my opinion or my advice to him would be, hey, look, if the Chicago Bulls thing has played itself out, has run its course, and he's no longer going to be the coach there, which they're playing better right now, it looks like they're going to make the playoffs like they do every year because of how good of a coach he is. Take a year. Don't dive back into college. Take a year, go evaluate, go watch Richard Pitino at Xavier, go see Coach Pitino at St. John's, go see Anthony Grant at Dayton, go see John Pelfrey at Tennessee Tech, go see some of your guys coaching and get a feel for if you want to do this. Get a feel for if you want to be back in college. Don't just dive into something. I would advise him to take a step back and evaluate. Because, look, in the NBA, you have no time. Like, he has barely any time to watch college basketball, much less figure out if he wants to do it. So I don't think you can ever say never. I think there's certain schools that if they call, you got to pick up the phone, right? Like if that baby blue calls from North Carolina ever in your life, probably need to pick up the phone for Chapel Hill. But the other thing too, Shane, Billy is such a loyal guy. And I don't like calling him Billy. I like calling him Coach. He's such a loyal guy to where if there's an SEC job that's open, I don't know that Coach would take it just in terms of like walking back into the O'Connell Center, the Exact Tech Center, seeing his name on the court. I don't know. I think there's certain factors, but if there's certain jobs that come a call, now there's been a lot of jobs I already know that have called him, and he said no because he's committed to his contract with the Chicago Bulls. So I don't think you can ever say never, but I think a year off and evaluating, do you really want to get involved with the craziness that's college basketball right now?
Yeah, I got to ask you this. I don't know if you saw this. Maybe you did, but you started your career at Florida as a student manager, then became director of basketball ops, and obviously became a head coach and an assistant coach. But did you see what Bennett Anderson, the guy that was a student manager, now he's on the team as a walk-on? Do you see where Walk-On's the restaurant presented him a scholarship at one of the practices the other day?
Yeah, I was wondering why was I never student manager turned walk on. I mean, I was out there in practice every single day, guarding guys, chasing them off screens, chasing them off pin downs. When you see that stuff, Shane, it's awesome, and it is so cool. That's culture. That's everyone wants to talk about culture and throw that term out. When you see how excited his teammates are for him, you see something like that. It's great to see. We see it all the time across college athletics, but. Yeah, man, us former managers stick together. So when you see someone like that at a story like that, it's great to see.
All right, last thing we chat here. Andy's question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. How was it? How was that experience a couple of years ago coaching the Gator great? I think it's in the basketball tournament. Are you?
It was the basketball tournament. It was the TBT. We got knocked out early. We were a little bit older. We needed some young guys. What hurt us in the TBT was Casey Prather was getting married around the same time. So the Willie Getz, the Scotty Wilbekins, the Casey, we couldn't get any of those guys because they were all at Casey Prather's wedding. So we were a little bit older. We had my man Lee Humphrey on the squad, who's obviously doing a great job with the Gator radio station. I asked his sidekick there on the radio yesterday. We had him on Sirius XM. I said, all right, 5 spots, 10 makes each spot. Lee Humphrey or Walter Clayton, who you taking? And it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know. I'm like, this ain't even a question for me, man. This is Lee Humphrey all day. The guy broke a neck in the NCAA tournament. What are we talking about? 5 spots, no defense? I'm taking Hump all day.
That's good stuff, man. Hey, Matt, appreciate your time. Let everybody know how they can follow you on X, Twitter, or whatever, and how they can also follow you doing all your radio stuff.
Yeah, so Shane, I'm on Twitter or X at Coach Matt McCall. I'll be at the Final Four for Sirius XM. We will be live from Radio Row tomorrow, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., so 12 to 3. Eastern time. I'll be live from practice on Friday, same time frame, 12 to 3. And then we got a pregame show on Saturday morning, 9 to 12 on Channel 84. And then we'll be there for the games on Saturday. We'll do a little Naismith Awards on Sunday on Channel 84 as well. And then national championship games on Monday night. So hopefully our Gators are there and get an opportunity to win it all because you know this, man, there's nothing better.
Nope. Appreciate your time. Safe travels, and we'll talk to you soon, Matt.
Sounds good, Shane. Appreciate you, man.
Yep, that's Matt McCall. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo Car Wash. Locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street and Southwest Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. Before we get out of here, let me get to some of these texts and stuff. We had one I wanted to ask Matt. I totally forgot, but somebody asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, if we play Duke, who guards Cooper Flagg? I think it'll be a combination of multiple people. He's so athletic. I'd probably put Thomas Houck on him, honestly, because they're kind of the same height. I don't want to say the same athleticism, but Houck is our most athletic big man that could probably try to cover him, but he is extremely gifted, as you heard Matt McCall say. Text also here on the Titan MR text line from Jimmy. He says, Shane, were you at the scrimmage yesterday, and did DJ play? I was not at the scrimmage. I'm out of town, obviously. Don't know if he participated. I don't know if he threw a ball or what have you. So I apologize for that. I'll try to get some information for you guys. But I guess if you subscribe to those on threes and different things like that, they may give you some updates. They get information here and there, but I am not aware of what went on. If you missed it, for our picks, or JC and my picks for the Texas Valero Open on the Peachland Dental picks, I have Ludwig Oberg, SK Batia, Patrick Cantley, and Jake Knapp. JC has Corey Connors, Hideki Matsuyama, Gary Woodland, and Bud Cauley. We got a lot of people on YouTube chiming in about Coastal Carolina. Steven says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Coastal, you get hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks at no extra cost. Fans will be able to acquire 4 items per concession visit. There's no limit to the number of trips. That's quite interesting. They have to be losing money on that, you would think. But we had some technical difficulties here today. We'll get them all fixed. It's all good. We just kept plugging right along. And let's see, last text here. This is from Bobby on the Titan MR text line. It says, JC's no longer here, but he says, Shane and JC, have you guys ever been to Augusta National and seen the Masters? Yes, I know JC's been. I've been once. I went for all 4 days, Thursday through Sunday, with some teammates of mine with the Chicago Bears back in, gosh, what year was that? Maybe 2000, 2001. I can't remember. There was a playoff, I think, if I remember correctly, Tiger against somebody. But yes, it's the most beautiful place you'll ever go. The concessions are cheap. Now, you go into the gift shop, that stuff ain't cheap. But the beers, the Cokes, the pimento cheese sandwiches, all that stuff is like $2 or $1 or what have you. But if you ever get a chance to go, even if you're not a golf fan, I promise you, you will love that place. There's no place like it. Before we get out of here today, I'm going to talk about my good friends at QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics. Tomorrow we'll be here. We'll have Mike Morgan from the SEC Network, and then we'll also have Brent Beard get his thoughts on what's going on around the SEC and spring football. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.